Hi and welcome to my first YouTube video ever. I've been thinking a lot about how can I share this information in the most valuable way. And I finally arrived to the conclusion that it's better to come unprepared and to channel everything that the spirit wants to say through me in this space. So welcome. My name is Ruxandra. I am a mentor and a Jinky steward, and today I will share my Jinkies journey, how the Jinkies have shaped my life and they transformed my business, my mission, my relationships. And also, I want to share a little bit about my background so you know who I am and who you are working with. So, I will just close my eyes a little bit and tune into the field. And I will ask you to do the same for you to receive this full transmission. And I intend for everyone that is tuning in to be activated by this power that is flowing through us, as I intend to speak from the space of my heart. And may this transmission find everyone that needs to receive this. What are the Jinkies? The Jinkies, as the name says, they are the keys that unlock our genetics. And our genetics have this power to raise their frequency to a higher state. And in this higher state, we feel like we are God. We can reach higher states of love and bliss and ecstasy through the power of our DNA. But at the same time, our genetics have also the power to lower their frequency down to the shadow states. And that's why we experience fear, pain, frustration, limitation. And it is very important to know that this system of information that the Jinkies are is encoded inside of us. It is basically the map of your life. It reveals all the mysteries and it reveals how you can make the shift from the shadow state into God states. But the most important teaching of the Jinkies, it is that both of these states are equal. Being in a shadow state is not bad or negative as we think, but is as equally powerful as being in a God state. And each moment, our DNA makes this shift. Each moment, you can choose to speak from a shadow state or from a God state of love and bliss and unity. So I want you to know that when I'm mentioning the word God, I'm talking. It's okay. So I want you to know that when I am mentioning the word God, I am talking about a state of unity and love. I'm not talking about that God that is portrayed in the religion or masculine figure on the outside. No, we're just talking about that state of God within, the creator, the source of infinite love that is fueling all of us. So this is kind of like a basic, let's say easy explanation of the Jinkies. There are 64 codes, let's say, keys that are encoded in our DNA. And all of these 64 reveal all of the shadows that we are going through, what happens when we transmute these shadows, that we receive 64 gifts, and how these 64 gifts allow us to up-level our consciousness to a higher level of awareness, that are the CDs, that are 64 God states that we can tap into. And when you are working with the Jinkies, it's like you are working with the most powerful depths of your being, with your DNA. And what is really special about this information is that you can always come back to it and you can find something new. And I come back to my sequences and my chart maybe 5 times. And I'm coming back to them 5 times already after all of this work that I've been doing. And every time I find new information that is encoded right there. I find new things about me and they speak to my DNA, so of course they activate me on a very deep level. And then my whole life starts to rearrange according to this information that my DNA reveals through the outer reality. So it's very important for you to know that you can do this Gene Keys profile for free on their website. I'm gonna link everything in the description down below. And you will come out with this beautiful, complex chart that you can have a reading on, you can have an activation on. This is what I do in my ceremonies. And they will show you, the Gene Keys will show you how to build your life, how to build your relationships, what's your mission in the world, even what to eat in order for you to raise the frequency of your DNA so you can become more invincible, more empowered, more in love. They reveal a lot of mysteries. I feel like this is the most powerful tool I have ever worked with, and it's a little bit new. Not a lot of people know about this, but I feel like it encompasses everything that has been done up until now. It includes astrology, it includes I Ching, it includes human design, biohacking, the wisdom of our aura. It includes literally everything in the world. And yeah, that's it. It's the most powerful tool. And if you resonate with this, then the Gene Keys are calling you. And that's the thing. You will be called because it's actually your DNA that is calling you to awaken you to a higher frequency, to a higher, more aligned way of being. And now I feel like I want to jump into the second section of this video, in which I want to talk about my experience and how I came to the Gene Keys, a little bit about my background, so you understand where I was before and where I am now, because I know that I always attract people who are going through the same lessons that I just graduated. So let me feel into how I want to share this. I will start with my childhood. I feel like this is the most powerful point in my life, in which I understood that I am very gifted. When I was a child, I could see in the future, I could receive visions. I was connecting to all kinds of beings and entities. I come from Transylvania, the land of vampires and witches and all of these kind of folklore, esoteric stories that everyone wants to know. And everyone wants to know if they are true. And I will tell you that yes, they are. And I feel like naturally I was born with this kind of like imprint in my blood, which I'm very grateful for. So when I was young, I came into this world with a lot of gifts. I was connecting with the Egyptian gods, with the Arcturians, if you know. They were talking to me through my dolls. And I was very much also connected with angels and with this kind of part of religion, because I grew up in an Orthodox Christian family. And my grandmother was devoted Christian, and she used to take us to church every Sunday. Well, especially me, because I was, for the first few years, the only one in my family, and then I had a sister. And yeah, I was just feeling all of this kind of unseen world all around me, and I didn't think that it's a special gift, because I thought that everyone has this. So I never really mentioned to my friends, to my family, to anyone as I was growing up that I can see these other worlds. And then all of a sudden, I came to the book of Manifestation The Secret at 11 or 12, and I understood that I have very great powers of manifestation, and I had all of this knowledge downloading inside of me about the pyramids, about how to manifest your reality. I just knew the secrets of the universe, like every other child, you know, when it's young. And then my whole life just took me in a very mystical pathway, in which I met only very interesting mystical people, shamans and healers. And my teacher in school was a Reiki master, and she initiated me at 16 years old. And it's like I went through these initiations and rites of passage in which I understood my power. But I come from a background in which I didn't know my power, in which I didn't consider that I have any talents. I didn't consider myself as a valuable human being. I didn't see myself as a woman. I didn't grow up in this environment in which I was supported. I was actually very much restricted and controlled, and growing up into a lot of suffering and isolation and shyness. And I'm very grateful for that and for how my parents um, helped me grow, because I needed all of the time to understand my power. So then at 16, I was invited to this workshop by my psychology teacher, and she did a past life regression. And I didn't expect that. I didn't know what's a past life regression. I was just starting to be in the esoteric teachings and hermeticism and magic. And she explained us briefly what it's gonna be about, and then I had the most mystical experience ever. And I feel like that made me be very hungry for knowledge, and it made me just like open up to this whole new world of past life and parallel realities. So she guided us in this past life regression, and I remember that her guidance was very hypnotic, and I went instantly in this state in which I went out of my body and my soul was just like hovering above at the corner of the room, and that room seemed like the reality in which I am. And I said to myself, oh, this is not so interesting. I want to go and explore other realities. And then I remember going in this corridor full of doors, and she guided us to open each door and to see a past parallel version of us. Now, when I'm talking about past lives, I'm actually talking about a parallel version of me, because my soul not only lives in this human body right now, but it is also integrated in another human body, in another parallel reality. But for our brain, the past is interpreted as the past, as something that has passed, but it's actually happening in a parallel timeline. So I hope this makes sense. So I saw how in my previous lifetime I was a journalist in fashion, and I was working very hard, and I burned myself. I burnt out, and I was very stressed, and I saw how I died. Then I saw another past life and another, and throughout all of my life, in the end I saw probably more than my 20 more of more no wait more than 20 of my past lives. um so yeah, there was a very powerful activation, because it just opened this gift inside of me to see more and more and more when the time is right, when the time will reveal. So all of these memories helped me understand who I am. And then I also had some problems with my womb. I didn't consider myself a woman. I was anorexic. It was my way of coping with life, and I was controlling everything that I was eating because of the family that I was growing up. I felt very restricted, and becoming addicted to health and fitness and to a way of eating actually gave me like a sense of safety and security. So that actually wasn't really helpful for my body, because I was overriding my feminine cycle, and I didn't have a menstruation. And I was like almost very close to this point of being taken to the hospital for the doctors to induce my menstrual cycle, because my mom was just like freaking out about it at 18. And I was like, no, I know that I can heal myself. Like, I knew deep inside of me, there was a very deep inner knowing that I could just do something and heal myself. Like, I knew so many techniques inside of me. I was just so assured and confident that I can do this by myself. So I promised to my mom and the doctor that I will start eating more. And in this way, I became vegan. And for 7 years, I was very much devoted to this lifestyle that helped me grow a lot, but until a certain point in which it didn't serve my body anymore. And in these 7 years, after I turned 18, I started to heal my body, and I brought back my menstruation by myself through energy healing, through Reiki. In the meantime, I was initiated in all of these kind of healing practices, and when you are initiated into Reiki, you know that that's only the basis, and more energy healing techniques will come through. So basically, I don't want to say that I invented my own way of healing, but the body brought it through me. You know, the infinite spirit made it happen through me. And I also did a lot of trainings with Dr. Joe Dispenza, with Donna Eden, with all of these kind of doctors and energy healers that just added up a bit to my gifts. They helped me understand how to structure everything that I am doing right now. So when I turned 18, I moved alone. I went to university, and then is when I started going to this Buddhism school. I learned how to meditate and how to astral project and how to do lucid dreaming and all of these kind of mystical things. And then when I was 21, I went to Milan. I moved there for almost 3 years because I wanted to study a school of fashion. And there is when I had my activation, like the biggest one. There is when Goddess Isis connected with me because I was guided through my intuition to go to this library that had this beautiful oracle card deck with Isis. And she basically called me, but she was calling me since I was 5 or 6 because I remember being born with this ability to connect with the Egyptian gods. Like all of this information came through me. I just knew everything about them. I felt so connected to them. I was like obsessed. I felt as if they are my family, as if I am their baby and I'm protected by them. So with the help of Isis, I started to hold ceremonies actually, and I began to discover my feminine power, my body, beginning a journey of self-love and understanding who I am, which are my gifts. And at some point in these 3 years in Milan, I also was called by Quetzalcoatl, which is the god of kind of like creation and destruction, the wind and the fire in the Aztec culture. He's a very important entity, as if Horus, it's for the Egyptians, Quetzalcoatl is considered to be like that for the Aztecs. And he's kind of like the guide of cacao. He's the carrier. He's the transmission for that plant spirit. And then I was contacted by the spirit of cacao, and all of these things happened to me in my dreams, and they happened to me in my waking reality, in those moments in which I was waking up and I was meditating. It's like I opened up to these cities, to these God states, to all of these dimensions and other worlds, and I was just communicating with them every single moment, and I became a pillar for those beings. And it's like my third eye just popped up one, and I attracted so many beings, like literally so many from all over this universe and even other universes. But this is a whole other story that I can get into another time. So after working with cacao, there was a time in which I was also doing tarot readings and energy healings by the distance, and everything was going out so well and amazing. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I can build a business out of this. And then I was guided again by my spirit guides and all of these helpers to build what I have right now. So it's been 5 years. But in these 5 years, it has been a very tough, challenging journey, but also very rewarding. But I feel like it was actually very, very tough. Now I'm getting emotional. But it was very hard to build this thing on my own. And I invested in a lot of business mentors and coaches that helped me through the years to understand how I want to market things, how I have to be in the world as a healer, how I have to communicate my message, how to give my offerings and provide the best spaces for the world. And I did that. I probably worked with 4 business coaches. And every time it was an initiation. It helped me grow. It helped me understand how to structure things, how to build mentorships, how to hold masterminds, how to hold spaces, because it takes so much. Like maybe you on the other side cannot see or comprehend fully how much it takes for us healers and mentors to be in this role, but I'm sure that you get the feeling and the transmission. And I feel like anyway, this is the most rewarding work. Yeah, so after all of these years, I understood in the end that I want to do my own way of marketing. I want to, you know, just do my own thing. And the energy and the infinite spirit just guided me to Bali, which became my home. And here I met the jinkies, like the book itself, the system. Up until now, what I was doing mainly in my ceremonies with people, I was just helping them see their shadows, love themselves, and transmute the shadows into gifts, into new ways of leading, into love, into everything that means love, basically. And I didn't have a name for this, but when I came to the jinky system, let me take a sip. I understood that I was working with the jinkies for my whole life. I just received a name. I just received a structure from the spirit that finally made sense, and it gave me a greater upgrade in what I'm doing. And at that time, I was, how do I want to say this? In a karmic relationship that was very challenging and triggering. There was love, but it was also very, very much reflecting all of my shadows and wounds, especially in my relationship with my father. And it was like very short and intense. And that's when you know that it's not gonna last, when it's intense and you're so attracted to each other. And at the time, I turned the page in a way. It's like I stopped being a whiny teenager on the inside and I became a woman. It was from 25 until 26 that I made this transition and understood that, wow, I am a woman now through this relationship that I experienced with a man that was much more advanced in age than me, much more mature in some material ways, but not emotional ways. So I couldn't fully feel safe to express my Pisces emotional heart, and I was holding on to all of the emotions and the words and all the things inside of me, and I started gaining water weight. And it was also a very confusing time because I was letting go of my identity as a vegan, and my body and my womb was calling me to eat animal protein, and it was a very very big ego death for me. So my body was going through a lot of changes. I wasn't supported by him. I didn't feel supported, and it's because I didn't show my heart, and um I couldn't feel honest. I couldn't feel safe to be vulnerable, and all of these things showed in my body, and I couldn't recognize myself at some point. It was very challenging for like 5 months. I know that it sounds like a very short time, but I was like fucking burning inside of me for 5 months because I didn't know who I am anymore. And at the time, I heard about the Jinkies as an extension of human design, as a more advanced system of information. I was already working with the DNA, like reshaping and shape shifting, being like an alchemist and an energy healer. And I was so curious about these jinkies, like what do they have to offer. And then the book came to me for free and it stayed with me. Now I don't have it with me so I can show it to you, but I can maybe bring it in another video. But if you know the book, it's like this thick, this big, and it's like an encyclopedia of consciousness. And there you have all the explanation of life. You have all the explanations of how the human body works, how the endocrine system is so connected to this outer reality, and how you can heal your body through food, through the people that you are with, through the shadow work that you are doing or not doing. It was like incredible. It's like in 1 month, I got into this book and everything started to shift in my life. I started to heal my body. I let go of that relationship. I shifted in an instant. And also, I want to mention that water fasting was also my friend in this time because I had so many emotional attachments to food. And the jinkies showed me all of the shadows, all of the fears, all of the smallness, the not enoughness, the anxiety, the needy, the codependence. But in this book, I had everything as an explanation. It's like everything just clicked and clicked and clicked. And in just a few months, I shifted. And in just a few months, my whole, let's say, business model shifted from what I was doing into becoming a jinky steward. And everything that I was doing was actually guided by the jinkies. All of the offerings, all of the people I'm working with, all of the structure, it's given as an insight in my intuition, in the back of my awareness, through the jinkies by working with the system. And I became obsessed with the book. I read everything about it, everything that was inside of it, probably more than 3 times, because I started doing these jinkies readings for people. So I had to read all of the jinkies because everyone has different numbers, different characteristics, and I needed to understand what it means to be a human. So I learned about myself on a very, very deep level, and I learned about what it means to be a human, all of the characteristics and the shadows and the positive states and the like everything. And I feel like this is how I became a master of the jinkies. And I'm not afraid to say that. I'm very proud of myself and how far I've come, but I guess that it also it took a lot of time to see myself and to feel myself in this power. And I feel like it's still an ongoing process every single day. So this is just a little bit about me. Um, Let me feel into the field if there is anything else important that I need to share. No, I feel like this is really good for the beginning. It's everything that you need to know. Right now, I'm still living in Bali. I'm still working very much with the jinkies in a very powerful way. I have a new offering that I'm launching. And if you resonated with this information, then I invite you to look into the offering that is linked in the description down below. All of my offerings and my ceremonies are built on this system. So the transformation that you receive, it's incredible. You know, it's like you enter a 2 or 3 hour ceremony and you come out on the other side of it with a new identity, because I'm also working with everything that I mentioned right here. And we work with the very deep parts of you that were lost or suppressed or neglected, and we bring them into love because this is the highest frequency. From this space, you can reshape your relationships, you can reshape your life and your mission, reshape your health, and just take everything to the next level. Literally become invincible and become a master of the very advanced processes of life. So then every single day, every single moment, you are just being so attuned to life that you are not fearful anymore. You are just, let's say, in a healthy way of control, which, if you know, there's no such thing as control, but it's in a way a paradox. And I want you to know that the jinkies and all life is a paradox. So if you're trying to understand everything that I talked about with your rational mind, then let it go. It's actually very intuitive. It doesn't make sense. It's something beyond the mind. So if you want to start to live from this space that is very fulfilling, very loving, very nourishing, very much attuned to your sovereign power and essence, then I invite you to send me a private message on Instagram. Let's chat, let's become friends. Because this is what I like to do with all the people that I'm working with. Every person that I meet is a very important connection. It is my perfect reflection. So if you feel attracted to work with me, it means that you are exactly as me. I know you very well. Our souls recognize each other. And I like to become friends with my clients because it's just a whole nother level of intimacy and vulnerability. And the magic that is happening in the spaces that I'm holding, it's incredible. Like the mentorships that I'm taking people through for 3 or 6 months, it's just like we become family and I know everything about them. And in this space, they feel safe to let go of all of their armor, letting go of all of their beliefs, and they bring to the table, they bring in our space everything that they are going through. And because I have this gift of channeling what other people need to hear, I will give you all the answers, all the information, and you will just have like constant aha moments and realizations and epiphanies, and you will just feel so connected to your infinity. So if you feel this, please send me a private message again. Thank you for watching this YouTube video and podcast episode, I would say. Yeah. And I will see you in the next one.